What's that black thing on the side?
On where?
What is that? Oh, it's the floor. Hello.
Hello.
It is Monday, the 22nd of June. And on Friday, what surgery are you having?
A total proctocolectomy or ileostomy.
And what is that?
I'm having my colon removed.
Which colon?
So, what do you mean which colon? There's only
Small
one colon.
Oh,
So
your large intestine.
I'm having my large intestine removed / colon. And then they bring out the small intestine, which is your ileum, hence the name ileostomy. They bring that out through your abdomen, and that becomes your bottom. And you wear a bag.
Is it permanent for the rest of your life?
It's permanent. I'm having this because
That's what you mean.
because the ulcerative colitis, my ulcerative colitis
Which is bowel disease.
works in conjunction with previous disease I had, PSC.
Which is a liver disease.
Ultimately, the UC is still active and flaring, and it has increased since post-transplant. And so we want to minimize the chances of colon cancer, obviously eliminating that completely by getting rid of the colon.
Reece's liver disease and his bowel disease, and one is in remission, essentially the other is flaring, and it's always been the case. It's usually always been the past 10 years that I've known you, predominantly the bowel disease. Then that went kind of first time properly into remission. And then the liver disease flared, and then that led to, very quickly, the liver transplant. So now we're at a point where his liver's healthy, so we don't want that seesaw to go back, and the inflammation, any even small amount of inflammation, to then trigger some kind of autoimmune response and increase the risk of your body detecting the fact that your liver is not yours and putting it in jeopardy when it's going so well right now.
It reduces the chance of my liver disease returning, means the liver will be healthy a lot longer, potentially forever, for the rest of my life.
You've tried so many different drugs, but ultimately they were prolonging this.
We want to do this while I'm healthy and fit and feeling good, rather than waiting till it does flare up and things get worse. That's why I decided that we will film this process, this journey, whether it helps someone else, helps me. It'll be nice just to be able to look back on hopefully sharing it and helping anyone else out there that's going through something similar.
And to look back in a few years' time and see how far you've come, you absolute legend who can do anything, who's amazing, who's stronger than any person I've ever met in my entire life.
Compliments.
We'll force you to receive more compliments.
Matrix in there.
It's 5:04 a.m. the morning of Reece's surgery. How are you feeling?
It's more anxious and nervous this morning. I was surprisingly feeling pretty good yesterday and leading up to it.
Just the reality of it kind of sets in a bit more when you're actually driving and fasting for how many hours now? 24 hours, but having these little drinks that are like carbohydrate drinks. It's actually a good thing that we're up this early though, because it means that his surgery is scheduled in first rather than in the afternoon. So at least you're just getting straight into it and you don't have to think about it. It's currently 4 p.m. I still haven't had a call from the hospital yet. He went in at around 8:30, so it's been a long surgery, but if I learned anything from the transplant surgery, the duration doesn't really mean anything, because his transplant was 13 hours and nothing major went wrong. I'm assuming it's the case with this one, but I'm just trying to distract myself editing videos and watching movies. Oh my gosh, okay, I just got off the phone to the surgeon. It's 5:54, so only an hour less than his transplant. 12 hours. She said everything went exactly as planned, exactly to plan. They were able to do the whole thing laparoscopically, which he'll be so happy about. Keyhole instead of another open wound, which takes longer to heal. He had a meeting with a female surgeon who made it so easy to understand. He was put at ease, so forthcoming with information. He had so many questions and she was so helpful, but there was no guarantee or even idea whether or not she would be the surgeon. And I said, I just want to say thank you so much, because you made me feel a lot more confident about the thing. Just really, really appreciate it, and he'll be so happy that you did the surgery. Oh, what wonderful news. Wonderful news. Jeez. Okay, stunning.
Day one, feeling a bit sore and tired. Didn't get much sleep last night, but the stoma is working well. Had pretty good output overnight and today. Fair bit of pain. Been managed with some pain meds and stuff. Been on clear fluids all day, but about to have my first meal. Don't think I'll eat the corn, because I think you're not supposed to. Getting these really intense, shoulder pains, which apparently when they put gas in and blow your tummy up to use the laparoscopes, there's residual gas left over that can cause nerve pain to refer to your shoulders. That's been quite intense. Day 2 update, feeling better today, Pain is a bit more manageable. Had a few more painkillers which have helped. I was on quite a low dosage to begin with and was struggling a bit with the pain, so that's helped quite a bit. Still quite tired, didn't get much sleep again last night, maybe a few hours broken. Saw the surgeons this morning, they're happy with how things are going. Stoma's working well. They got a bit of, looks like blood, but they think it's not an active bleed or anything, it's just the fluid from the abdominal area where the surgery was, just residual fluid that'll clear out over time, and they're keeping a close eye on it, and that was part of why I was awake. Every hour or so last night they were coming in and checking on it, waking me up, and just did a blood test as well just to make sure everything was going smooth, but thankfully the blood test was great, so nothing to worry about. Catheter is out today, which means I can put normal clothes on, walk around, and the surgeon said I can go outside, get some fresh air, which is great, so looking forward to it. Day 2 is much better than day 1 so far, that's for sure.
Where's the pain mostly at the moment?
My bottom, because my Barbie butt is painful.
Do we actually explain that?
When they remove my colon, they also remove the rectum and the anus and pull everything out through where my anus was, and they basically stitch all that closed. All the layers and stuff stitched it closed and end up with a Barbie butt.
That is insane to me that they pull the large intestine out through your bumhole. Doesn't that just seem so medieval? Like, it's amazing, it's just incredible. Obviously it makes sense, especially because they managed to do the whole thing laparoscopically. I wonder if it would be the same if they did an open wound, would they pull it out through the big incision? Anyway.
Went for a couple of laps, walked around the ward.
The physio came and said that walking and moving, the sooner you can do that, the better. But it's interesting, even with your transplant and your hernia surgery and everything, I feel like I've always thought it would be just way too painful for you to move. But as soon as you started moving around, you always feel better. The stoma's looking good.
It's working well, which is great. Day 4, Tuesday morning, feeling pretty good. Energy's coming back. I'm managing to get up out of bed by myself quite easily, walking around. Stoma's working really well, managing to eat small meals, just slowly building it up so I don't cause any blockages or irritation to the bowels, so just taking it easy. And still have a bit of blood coming from the drain that goes into my abdomen. They're just worried a bit about how much blood is coming. They just think I'm prone to bleeding more than average just because of my liver failure and the liver transplant, and then the vessels that are still under pressure, so just trying to get that under control using some blood thickening medications. I've had a couple of IV drips. Meet the dietitian, speak about all the food I can and can't eat and stuff. Another stoma session, practicing putting the bag on and taking it off and all that stuff. Yeah, it'll be good. Lauren will be there for that today, which will be great. She can learn as well. But yeah, all in all, feeling pretty good and definitely getting better day by day. So
hello, I just wanted to do a little update on my own. This was all his idea, by the way. I really don't want people to think that I'm putting a camera in his face or something. That's no, he wants to share this. If you're going to go through something like this and all the stuff he's gone through, you may as well, you know, try and make it helpful to others in some way. Like, he's found the content that he's watched from other people going through what he's now going through really, really helpful. So that's why we're doing it, and I'm just helping him where I can. We learned how to change the bag yesterday, which was really great. Had an amazing nurse. His drain has been pulling a lot of fluid, and it's been like quite a high content of blood. So they've been a little bit worried about that because of his experience with his hernia repair surgery a couple months before, where he was developing multiple hematomas. The surgeons aren't too concerned, they're just monitoring it. They said that he did bleed a lot during surgery. Had to get a potassium infusion yesterday, which was incredibly painful, he said, and the nurse warned him beforehand. She said, like, this is quite painful. We googled it afterwards and it said something like it irritates the blood vessels because it's incredibly acidic or something, and it's just painful the whole time, and you have to do it for like at least an hour. So she slowed it down to 2 hours, so it was less painful, but even then it was really quite uncomfortable, and I had to put ice on his arm and crazy. The surgeon that operated on him, which we are so grateful for, queen. Saw him this morning and checked everything out and said it all looks great, which is wonderful.
Day 6 post-surgery. Everything's been really good in terms of the stoma side of things. I've grasped that pretty quickly, changing bags, emptying it. The output's been pretty good. Nurses and the doctors are pretty happy with all that. The only thing really keeping me in hospital at the moment is the drain that I still have in. I've also had to go on to blood thickeners or coagulants, but then ultimately that has now since caused a clot in my liver. So going on to blood thinners now to try and remove the clot, as the liver is a bit more precious, it's a bit more risky, so we don't want any clots in there. So it's going to take weeks or months for the clot to disappear, but we need to now find the balance of going from the coagulants to blood thinners and making sure I don't bleed again. So we'll spend another couple of days in the hospital while they slowly ramp up the blood thinners. Bit of a long day today. I haven't really slept too well, taking a bit of a toll on my emotions with just feeling down and heavy, but trying not to let it get to me and just taking it day by day. Pretty ready to go home, to be honest. Missing my routine and just loss of autonomy. Day 7, so officially a week after the surgery. I'm feeling okay. I mean, still a lot of sore spots. Wounds are all looking good in terms of the laparoscopic sites where they put scopes in and stuff. They all look good. Drain is still going. It's being watched very closely today because they lifted the blood thinners to a higher dose. And so the liver team also is going to start antibiotics tonight in the IV for 3 times a day. So that's the main thing at the moment, is just trying to get me onto as high a dose blood thinners as they want me to be on. And if I can be on that while I'm in hospital and be stable and not have any bleeding, then they can pull the drain out and then monitor things from there, and then hopefully from there send me home on blood thinning medication. Fingers crossed it all goes to plan. Hopefully see my family. Got to see my brother the other day, which was really nice, really lifted my spirits. But yeah, missing being home with Loz and Mia. Loz has gone home for the night just to take some stuff home and get some fresh stuff because it's going to be a bit longer than expected. It's very difficult though when I don't get to see her. Like, we've been together, what, 10 or 11 years, but it doesn't take long before I miss her. It just gives me something to look forward to, and yeah, we'll get there. Just went for a walk around the ward, and the ward I'm on is right next to the ward that I stayed on when I had my liver transplant. And so bumped into a couple of the nurses from the transplant, which was really cool to be able to see them again and say hello and say thank you and just catch up with them. So it was really nice.
It is Friday. It's been a week since Reece's surgery. He had a CT scan to check that his pelvic region and the stoma and everything was all good, which it was. And then the radiologist saw something in his liver that they were like, oh, I don't know about that. So they sent him for an ultrasound. At first it came back all good, and then he got told that a specialist hepatology radiologist or something saw it and was like, no, I think that's a blood clot in his liver. For a couple of days he had been on coagulants to thicken his blood, and normally you get given blood thinners while you're in hospital because you're just sedentary all the time. But because he's got so many blood vessels in places that he shouldn't have them because of the portal hypertension that he had, it seems like he bleeds a lot more after surgery. And so there was a lot more blood in the drain than there should have been for someone who just went through that kind of surgery. And so he was put on, coagulants to basically thicken his blood so it would clot better, which seemed to have worked. But now he's on a higher dose of blood thinners to try and get the clot out of his liver, which has basically kept him in hospital. So they're just trying to balance that, and that's why they need to monitor him in hospital over the next few days, just to check that putting him on blood thinners is not going to undo all of the hard work that the coagulants probably were doing, clotting all of the incisions and stuff, because those surgical incisions are kind of hard to it isn't like there's a leak like there was with his hernia surgery, like a leaky blood vessel. It's just there was so much trauma to a lot of the tissue because of the nature of surgery, so there isn't really much you can do. So it's just really a balancing act, it seems like, of hoping that all those incisions have clotted enough that the blood thinners aren't going to affect them. And that's right, and his because of all the bleeding, his hemoglobin was going down, he was looking really pale. Just been a lot.
Just outside for a walk. Struggled to get down here, having quite a bit of pain, but first time I've been outside today, Saturday, day 8, but feeling pretty good. It's funny, as people walk past, I had at least 2 or 3 saying, do you want to lift to get out of here? Do you want to escape? Slowly making my way back. Just another update. It's been a long, excruciating day. I've been in agony all day. I haven't been able to sit down, and any walking that I do is like snail's pace because I'm in so much pain in my bladder and abdomen area. I think the blood thinners may have caused another bleed, and then that's maybe pushing down on the bladder. Then when I go to the toilet, it's like razor blades, and it's just horrible. And then just sitting and standing just the whole time, just agony. So gonna get a CT scan and see if there's another bleed, and gonna hold off on the blood thinners tonight, and it's just one step forward, one step back at this stage. Hopefully we'll get there in time. Day 11, haven't recorded for a couple of days. There's been a bit happening. Long story short, started the treatment with the blood thinners to help with the liver clot, but all that did was cause the bleed to restart again in my abdomen. We started on a low dose twice a day, and then as they went to the higher dose, that caused the bleed to start again. So we had to quickly cease that. Luckily they were using a subcut injection, so it only lasted in the system for like 6 hours or something, compared to a tablet which would have lasted 3 to 5 5 days and they wouldn't be able to stop that quick enough, so I would just continue to slowly bleed. So the good thing is that thankfully that stuff is out of my system the last couple of days. I felt much better in terms of the bleed has stopped on that. I had a couple of days of pain when the drain has not been draining out because I've got this collection in my abdomen that's sitting basically against my bladder and against my prostate, which we figured out that's what's causing the pain. Because I had that bleed start again, it made that original collection from the first bleed grow a bit bigger, which then ultimately caused it to push more on the bladder and the prostate. A little concerned with what it means for the liver with this small clot. The longer it takes to treat this, the longer it stays in there, and then the potential for other things to happen. So it's just really scary, but the doctors have got to weigh up the safety, and basically keeping my blood levels at a good level is more important at the moment than being able to give me blood thinners and treat the liver, because my blood levels dropped quite low again, so I needed a blood transfusion last night, just the first time they've dropped low enough for them to warrant needing to give me blood. So just going to keep a close eye on things, and hopefully my blood levels come up again this morning, and then yeah, we'll go from there. I think potentially start just 1 a day blood thinning injection, and then maybe go to twice a day after a day or two, I think, and then maybe a couple of days after that, eventually maybe do like a small dose in the morning and large dose at night or something like that. I don't know, we're gonna have to figure that out. Yeah, just trying to take it one day at a time and stick with the information that the doctors give me, not to overthink it. And the great thing in all this is the stoma's been great. I've been managed to change the bags, empty it, like I've handled that really well. It's been a lot easier than I expected, and yeah, I'm pretty happy with how that's going. I feel like it'll integrate into my life pretty easily when we get home. Yeah, I'm just glad that it's been a bit easier than I expected, so would like to get out of here as soon as possible. Don't know how much longer I'll be here, so we'll just take it as it comes. At the end of the day, we have incredible doctors. I have an incredible team that are looking after me, and they'll figure this out, and you know, I'll get to go home to my girls, Mia and Lauren, as soon as possible and get back to life. Incredible life that we have together back at home. Miss my belly rubs, don't you? Day 12. At the end of the day, pretty boring day. Feeling a bit mentally struggling, I guess is the way you put it. It's just a matter of trying to figure out these minor details with these blood thinners and watching if I bleed or don't bleed, waiting to get the all clear that that's the dose we can send you home on. And hopefully, if my blood stays stable on this lower dose, then the plan is just to stay on this lower dose, because the liver team also reviewed the CT scans today, and it showed that even being on that lower dose last week did have some effect on the clot in my liver, and fingers crossed that means that, you know, they can just keep me on this low dose. My body can handle that. No bleed begins. We got the drain out today, and already I feel like a million times better from that anyway. So we'll just see where things go, I guess. Just a bit over it, really. Just, you know, ready to move forward and get on with life and get back to some sense of normality, I guess. Day 13, just having some tea and bickies. Finally had some good news this morning. They're happy with the 40 milligram dose of Clexane twice daily at this stage. So the plan is, instead of me staying in here for another week, which I would not be able to do, I should be able to get to go home tomorrow, check my bloods tomorrow morning. Everything looked good today. My bloods have gone up again. They've gone up each day that I've been on the blood thinners now. Plan is to stay on this dose for the next 6 weeks until I see the surgeons again in the clinic. The most exciting part though is I get to go home. Incredible, like, you know, just a bit of a light at the end of the tunnel, like how much that changes your spirits. Yesterday I was like incredibly depressed, basically just down in the dumps, really upset, just struggling because I got told that it was going to be another week. And that was first thing in the morning, and then got told like in the afternoon that potentially the plan may be able to change if the bloods and everything are good last night, which it turns out they were, and so the doctors were happy to review everything, and they had their big meetings this morning, and all going well, fingers crossed. Tomorrow morning, blood tests come back good. I'm gonna cry because I'm so excited to get home to Loz and Mia. I miss them so much.
He's broken free.
Excited to get home.
Yay! I have sincerely missed the sound of Reece. He's back.
Yes.
Nuggies.
Update from home. Got home yesterday afternoon about 4 o'clock after being discharged, which was an incredible feeling. It was beautiful to see all the countryside again and be back with Loz and Mia and my in bed. Coffee, so good to be able to make a coffee this morning. Had a pretty decent sleep at home, still getting used to waking up a couple times in the middle of the night to empty the stoma. Now I'm organising all my stuff for the stoma, so all the bags and supplies and stuff. Still feeling pretty sore, still struggling to walk around and still lose my breath easily after doing pretty much nothing, so take a little bit to get my strength back and fitness and stuff. Excited for what's to come for us. I feel like big things now. Can finally put all this behind us and move forward with our life.
I just wanted to upload my own little quick video about the whole journey now that Reece is finally home, and just say that thank God this is the last major thing that Reece had to go through, because I think he was at the tipping point for him. Like, if he had to go through another one of these situations, it's like all of the traumas from all the last thing, all the millions of other surgeries and things that had gone wrong had been adding up, and he was using his last little bit of energy to push through, knowing that this is finally the last thing, because those last few days were just, the effect on his mental health was really bad. And there's a lot of stuff that we didn't mention in the video about his experience at the hospital that I don't really feel comfortable talking about, because I don't want to point fingers and stuff, but it was just not a great experience a lot of the time. What I will say is that he really had to learn to advocate for himself and speak up for himself and be assertive in that situation many times to do with his care, otherwise things could have gotten worse than they already were. One example that I will say is that when he was going in for the surgery, anaesthetist assistant, anesthesia assistant, I don't know what he was, but when he was transferred from the bed he was currently in to the bed he was going to be in for the surgery, there was like a plastic sheet or something underneath him, and normally when you're transferring someone you're meant to roll them to their side to pull out that sheet or whatever it was and then move them, but this guy didn't, and essentially pulled this sheet out from underneath Reece, and he suffered a chemical burn on his back and underneath his arm, and he's still got it there. The skin's full on peeling as if he's had a really bad sunburn, and even the doctors didn't know what it was when he was in the hospital. He was this stings, it was burning, he couldn't even touch it, it was so sore. It's stuff like that that didn't need to happen during the experience, the whole journey, that just made it worse. There was a nurse that was questioning his anti-rejection medication, saying I haven't seen a patient take this before, are you sure? And then the same nurse also said, no, you didn't get stitches on your bum because they stitch up your bum. And he's like, no, I did. And she was basically gaslighting him and just saying, questioning his anti-rejection medication, you're a nurse, you are not the hepatologist. Even the registrars often don't even play with his medication. They take it up to the consultants because it's the most important medication you could be on. To have a nurse making him feel like he had to defend himself the first day out of surgery, questioning his meds, questioning what surgery he just came out of. And then she said after that, oh, I haven't read your notes. There is so much more I can say, but I won't. What I will say is that there were a handful of nurses that I just want to shower with gratitude. They made such a difference in Reece's care. They were confident within their scope, because confidence is super important, but not confidence to the point where you're questioning someone's life-saving medication without having read their notes. They were professional, they didn't overstep boundaries. Every single little thing that they had to do for Reece or to Reece or with Reece during his care was done the right way the first time, with care, precision. They were empathetic and considerate of his sleep. God, when you get a good nurse, they're just absolutely irreplaceable. I was just so grateful after seeing the impact it had on Reece, and feeling that when you're already so vulnerable, at least feeling confident that the person that is, rostered on to take care of you is going to do a really good job, and you don't have to worry about anything else other than just getting better. Reece ended up losing, I think, 6 kilos. It's crazy how quickly you lose weight. I'm also just so deeply, deeply grateful for the surgeon that operated on Reece. She was a godsend. Really. I'm just so grateful to live in Australia. Oh my gosh, I'm so grateful to live in Australia, to not have had to pay anything that entire time, and to have these wonderful, wonderful doctors that are just absolute experts. So incredibly good at what they do.
Hello.
Hello. Hey, copying my thing when I started.
Day 29 today, 4 weeks post-surgery.
How are you feeling?
Feeling surprisingly good. When I first came home I was out of breath, still just making a coffee, having a shower, and really still struggling, but now I'm almost not back to normal, but back to being able to going for a walk outside without being breathless and feeling tired. So all that's feeling really good.
How is your pain from that collection that you
had / still would have?
Still have the pain, so that'll take weeks, if not months, for that to break down. My bum is still sore, it's still uncomfortable to sit for long periods, but it is getting better, it's improving. Body generally feels good. My abdomen is not sore. This is just the hospital journey, surgery journey, and if people are interested in learning more about what life is like with a stoma and how it's been for me adapting, then we can do a whole nother video on that, and even if you wanted to leave questions.
Yeah.
Otherwise, everything is really, really good. I just want to say thank you to everyone involved, the team, surgeons, doctors, nurses, everyone that helped me through that journey and cared for me, and I'm incredibly grateful for everything they've done, and super happy to be back home, being able to make myself a coffee in the morning, do those little things, and appreciating the beautiful life that we have and just being able to enjoy that. And thank you to anyone that's watched as well. I appreciate, and if you've gotten this far, thank you.